Amen. Now, again, hey, y'all listen. We're jumping into this. I got to go, okay? So, boundaries, when applied properly, are good for you, okay? It's important. Look up here at me. It is important to have boundaries in your life, because if you don't have boundaries, unfortunately, if you don't have boundaries, you can end up getting burned. Prime example of this, in my own life, okay? How many of you guys ever go to the microwave to like make something? Like one of my favorite treats in college was pizza rolls. Come on. Where's my pizza roll people at? Y'all, we can be friends, okay? We can be friends. We might have to do something. For those of you who don't know what a pizza roll is, though, it's like a mini Hot Pocket, okay? It's a miniature Hot Pocket. And they're pizza flavored, which is even better. So here's what happened to me. I got home one day. I was like, I'm going to eat me some pizza rolls. Listen up. Y'all are going to miss out on a prime story, okay? So I get my pizza rolls out. I flip over the package. I'm reading the directions. Step one, like, put them on a microwave safe plate. I'm like, check, got that one, you know. Put all of them out there, and then it's like, okay, for this many, put it in the microwave for X amount of time. If your microwave is this many, like, hertz or whatever it is, power, you know, whatever. And so I, like, put it in there. What is it? Watts? Yeah, sure, we'll go with it. Anyway, I pop it in there, and then I, like, stop reading, okay? So I go to do something else, and then all of a sudden I come back, I hear the microwave beep, like beep, 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 let me know it's done, and I'm like, yes. And so then I go, I get the plate out, and then I do the finger test. Y'all do the finger test when something comes out? You stick your finger in it to see if it's hot still, right? Y'all don't do that? Y'all, okay. So anyway, I stick my finger on a pizza roll, and when I do, I'm like, okay, wait, this pizza roll is not cold, it's warm, but it's not hot, it's not burning my finger. So at that point, I think, you know what, this is going to be good. Man, I'm so hungry, so I grab that pizza roll, toss it way up in the air. No, I don't do that because I can't catch food in my mouth. But anyway, like I pop it in my mouth, and at that point in time, you kind of do the little tongue check, you know, where you're checking out, and I'm like, okay, this isn't burning my mouth, so I'm good, and then I take a bite. Now, if you've ever bitten into a hot pizza roll, you know that there's potential in every bite for that thing to burst open and hit all of the taste buds in your mouth. This is why pizza rolls are so amazing. The only challenge is this pizza roll was thoroughly cooked on the inside. And when I did that, a flavor of pizza sauce and pepperonis burst on the inside of my mouth, and you think, that sounds amazing. It is amazing. The only challenge with this one is it was so hot, it burnt the inside of my mouth. So then I'm stuck. You ever get in that situation where you're like, now what do I do? Do you do the weird or do you like spit it out on the plate, you know? Because I don't know about y'all, but I'm a picky eater. So I don't like looking at something that was in my mouth and then on my plate and thinking, I'm going to eat that again. And I didn't want to waste a pizza roll. So I chose to just like get through it, and I swallowed it really quick, burnt the whole esophagus all the way down, all of those kinds of things. Yeah, that's where your food goes once you swallow it. It's okay. We'll get there. But you know, so look up here. Here's what happened. This is whole going on, and I'm drinking like ice cold water at this point, trying to like save any taste buds and save my mouth from like, I'm pretty much like chugging aloe vera, you know, at this point in time. And I'm reading over the back of the package of the pizza rolls. And there was a step that I forgot to read. There was a boundary that I didn't realize. And that boundary was let contents cool for like 2 minutes before you eat. Like danger, it could end up burning you. And I didn't adhere to that boundary. And as a result of me not adhering to that boundary, I got burned. Now, look up here. I think we've all been burned a time or two in our life because we didn't have proper boundaries. Just be quiet and just think about it. Take into account what I'm about to say to you. I think we've all been burned because we didn't have proper boundaries. I would dare say there's even some of you here that you have scars that simply could have been avoided if you just would have given more care to some boundaries. I would dare say that there's some of you that have some regrets that quite honestly, you could have escaped if you just would have had some boundaries applied properly in your life. I would dare say that there's some of you that right now, you're carrying around some shame and some guilt over something that you did because you didn't have properly applied boundaries. Now, look up here at me, because what I'm about to say is very serious. I don't want anybody to miss this. I'm doing what I'm doing right now. And what I mean by that is being a pastor is truly like the greatest honor in my life. And the reason that I'm here and doing this and that I've given my life to it, and the reason that all of our amazing youth leaders are here and volunteering their time and taking time away from their families after they've worked all day long, the reason that they're here is because they want to keep you from getting burned. The reason that I'm up here sharing this message is because I don't want to see you get burned. None of us want to see that in your life, but this is super important. Don't miss this. Even more than we love you and care about you, there is a God who loves you and who cares about you and does not want to ever see you end up burned. He doesn't want to see you carry around scars from not having properly applied boundaries. He doesn't want you to carry around the regrets and the shame. And that's why he's given you and me directions on how to make sure that we have properly applied boundaries in our life. As a matter of fact, those of you that are taking notes, I want you to write this down in your notes. And really, as we kick off this series, my goal for tonight is just to get all of us on the same page in regards to boundaries. And so the first thing that I want you to write down is this, is that boundaries are good for you because they protect you. Boundaries are good for you because they protect you. Now I'm going to give you time to write that down in your notes and really just like take it in. So I'm not going to talk. I might talk just to kind of break the awkward silence, because if I don't talk, then you will start talking. We don't want you to start talking, distracting people. So, boundaries are good for you because they protect you. Everybody got that written down? I think there's some people that are like, no? Okay. Are we good? There we go. I don't know what happened. Sometimes technical difficulty. Here's what it is. Boundaries are good for you because they protect you. Now, I want to show you a verse now. Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28. Look at what it says. It says, a person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. Okay? A person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. Now, I brought a picture. If we can put that picture up of what the city with broken down walls looks like, I want you to really understand what this verse is really equivalent to and what it's talking about. So again, a person without self-control is like a city with broken down walls. Do we have that picture? Can we put it up? Thumbs up in the back. Let me know if we got it or not. This is a city with a broken down wall. Now, look up here at me. What I want you to notice about this city is apparently it was in a battle, but on top of all that, because the wall is broken down, it's pretty vulnerable to attack, right? It can be easily taken over, can it not? It's in a place where it is vulnerable. And what Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 28 is teaching you and is teaching me is that each one of us is like a city. And if we don't have enough self-control to make sure that we have properly applied boundaries in our lives, that we're leaving ourselves susceptible and vulnerable to attack. We're in a very vulnerable state in that particular place. And there's nothing that's more evident and more clear about this in Scripture than, in my mind, than the story of David and Bathsheba. Anybody here ever heard of David and Bathsheba? Okay. For those of you who don't know, you can find it in 2 Samuel chapter 11. I'm going to just give that to you. Go and read it for yourself. But I'm going to give you like the Cliff Note version of it, okay? Are you ready? So here's what happened. David was the king. So he was asleep in his palace taking a nap one day, and he woke up and he's like, oh man, I need to stretch my legs. And so he goes on this walk on the top of his roof. When he's out walking on his roof, he looks over and he sees a woman. And in that moment, he's like, oh, I like the way that woman looks. Then he realizes something about this woman, that she's actually bathing herself in that moment. So you know what David did? He's like, oh, I'm going to keep watching. This is what David did. He's sitting there peeking the whole time, peeping Tom. Yeah, it's in the Bible, 2 Samuel chapter 11. He's like, I like what I see. It's like, yeah. So here's what he does. He calls one of his buddies up. He's like, hey, come here. Come here. One of y'all, come up here. Come here. He calls one of his buddies up to him, and he says, come on, get up here. He's like, get down here. Do you see what I'm looking at?
Yes.
Do you see go find out who that woman is. And then he sends him away. And then he sits there. He's looking, trying to figure it out. Look at me. The whole time he's watching. Here's the deal. Messenger comes back to him and says, hey, that's Bathsheba, that's Uriah's wife. And David says, that's who that is? I really like what I see. Tell her to come to my bedroom. Y'all, hey, it's in the Bible, okay? It's in the Bible. I ain't making this up. Here's what happens next. Bathsheba, another man's wife, is brought to King David's bedroom. And well, King David, he crossed some boundaries with Bathsheba. He crossed boundaries with her. Fast forward a little bit. A few weeks later, we actually find out that Bathsheba is now pregnant with David's. And David's the baby daddy. You know why we know that David's the baby daddy? Because Bathsheba's husband is actually out at war. So here's David in this moment. He was like, oh my gosh. He's like, that's not my wife, but now she's pregnant with my child. What am I going to do? And so he starts, oh, I got an idea. Here's what I'm going to do. Tell Uriah, Bathsheba's husband, to come back off the battlefield. I'm going to give him an all expenses paid trip away from the battle, and he's going to get a night with his wife, and it's going to be all good. Then we can play this off like he the baby daddy and not me, and I'm going to be all good with it. Guess what? Uriah gets there, and he's like, you know what? He's like, I got friends, I got brothers that are out fighting in the war right now. They're out on the battlefield. They don't get to experience a night with their wife. So I'm not going to experience a night with my wife until all of them get to experience a night with their wife. And David's like, what are you doing, man? Like, so he's like, well, what can I do? He's like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll get him drunk. I'll give him all kinds of booze and let him drink. And then once he gets drunk, then he'll finally go and he'll, have sex with his wife. And then I'm out of the clear at that point in time. It's in the Bible. Y'all act like y'all ain't talking about it at school. Come on. Here's the next thing. Hey, look up here. We ain't even through the story yet, y'all. It takes another weird twist. Here's what happens. Her husband, even though he's intoxicated, still doesn't go in and have the night with his wife. So David is like losing his mind, like, what am I about to do? How do I hide this? What do I do? So he's like, I know what it is. He wants to go out on the battlefield and fight. So I'm going to let him fight, but I'm going to put him on the front lines. And then as soon as the enemy attacks, have everybody else around him retreat so that he's the one that gets killed in battle. And that's what happens. He's killed in battle in that moment, but he was set up by King David to die. And then a few weeks after that, David takes Bathsheba as his wife to try to cover it all up. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Look up here at me. When David was in this position, he was vulnerable. He didn't guard his thoughts. There was a lot of stuff that he was vulnerable to because he didn't have proper boundaries. He didn't have a boundary that I'm not going to look at a woman lustfully. He didn't have that boundary in place at that moment in his life. And as a result of that, it left him vulnerable. And as a result, he ended up getting burned by it. And there's a lot of you that are sitting in this position right here. And it might be in that area of sex and temptation. But there's some of you that are sitting here in this area, and when it comes to your anger, you are vulnerable to your anger and your mood swings and how angry you get and the things that you say, and you're causing damage to people because you don't have any boundaries when it comes into regard to your anger. There are some of you that are in this position right here, and you are looking at things, and you are taking things in that people are saying about you. And as a result of that, because you don't have proper boundaries, you're not setting yourself up to be successful. But you're vulnerable like a city with broken down walls. You're ready to be attacked. You're ready to be overtaken. And it's all because you don't have proper boundaries in place to protect you. So boundaries are good for you because they protect you. But not only are they good for you because they protect you, boundaries are good for you because they warn you of danger. Think about the pizza rolls. Matter of fact, that's point number 2. Boundaries are good for you because they warn you. They warn you of danger. Now, here's the thing. Think about the pizza rolls in my life. The instructions, the boundary was there. And it warned me of getting burnt. Because I didn't properly apply it, I ended up getting burned, right? Think about you. There's many of you that are here right now. You've started driving, or you're going to be learning to drive in a few years. And when you drive in a car along the side of the road during certain stretches, there's those little things off the side of the road, those little bumps in the road. And then even in other stretches, there's guardrails, right? I think we have a picture, if we can put that picture up. This is what I'm talking about. You got those little bumps in the road, and you have that guardrail there. Look up here. What do you think those things do? Like, do you think they're fun just to kind of like drive over and mess with your buddy or something? No. Look, hey, all eyes right here. All eyes right here. Here's what those things do. Is they warn you that, hey, if you keep going down this path and down this route, you're going to find yourself ending up potentially in a bad place. If you keep going down this route, if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to find yourself off in a ditch somewhere, down at the bottom of a hill, in a tree, in the side of a bluff wall. You're going to end up potentially damaging your vehicle. You're going to potentially end up hurt. You're going to potentially end up in a place that is delaying you from getting to where you want to go with your life. And so what those things are designed to do is warn drivers that, hey, if you keep going down this path, you're headed towards danger. Now, here's the thing, y'all. Again, God loves you and God cares about you. And he makes it obvious the areas that he wants us to have boundaries in. So the question that I have for you is, where do you think God outlines for us what his boundaries are and what proper boundaries we need to have in our lives? Anybody think they know? Does anybody know where we can find the boundaries that God wants us to have in our lives? In the Bible. You're right, in the Bible. Now, look up here. That wasn't a trick question. Everybody's like, I don't know, he's about to trick me. Like, no. All eyes right here. Here's what culture in the world will tell you about the Bible. Culture in the world will tell you that you need to be free and you just need to experience your life and you need to just go do whatever you want to do. And what the world and what culture will tell you is that, hey, the Bible, it's just a bunch of rules. It's just there to keep you from really living your life to the fullest and to the max, and you're actually missing out on your life if you choose to follow the Bible and be a Christ follower. But let me show with you one verse real quick. Psalms 119, verse 105. Psalm 119, verse 105 says this. It says, your word is a lamp to guide my feet and a light for my path. Your word is a lamp to guide my feet and a light for my path. And here's what this is telling us about the Bible. Is that in the Bible, it's a lamp to guide your feet. And it's a light to light up the path. In other words, it's going to give you direction for your life. And when you come to that crossroad and you don't know what to do, it's going to light up what path you need to go down. When you say, okay, do I go this way or do I go this way? What this will do is it'll say, hey, it'll be the big neon sign saying, go this way. This is the path that you need to go down. So here's the question that I have for you guys. Is if you want to know how to follow God and grow in your relationship with God, does the microphone keep cutting out? Here's what we're going to do. What time is it? Oh, I got to go. Here's what I want you to see. Look up here at me. This right here will give you directions for your life. That'll keep you on the right path. That when you come to that crossroad and you're trying to figure out what to do, this right here will light up and give you clarity about what path you need to take, about what it is that you need to do. And so if you're struggling, like David, to maybe live a pure life, here's what I want you to do in this moment. I want to encourage you to go look at some scriptures. You can turn it off. Hello. Here's what I want to encourage you to do. If you're struggling to live a pure life, open this up and see what God says about how to do that. Here's the thing. If you're here and maybe you struggle with an addiction, maybe it's vaping, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's depression, maybe it's an eating disorder. Why don't you open this up and see what God talks about as far as the boundaries go? Maybe you have a family history of drug abuse or alcohol abuse. And it's like your mom and your dad and your grandparents and your great-grandparents and your great-great-grandparents, that was all that they did. And you're like, you know what, I don't want to be like the rest of my family. This will tell you how to break that. This will tell you how to be different than the rest of your family. Maybe somebody has hurt you, and you've got a lot of grief going on in your heart. There's a lot of pain that you've experienced in your life, and you're trying to figure out, like, how do I heal from that wound? Guess what? The Bible will tell you how to do that. Maybe you've got people that are spreading rumors about you constantly. And as a result of the rumors that they're spreading about you, you find yourself in a position where you're like, I just don't know what to do. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to move on with my life. I don't know how to get it to stop. This will tell you how to put a stop to it. This will tell you how to react kindly in a way that'll cause those people to stop. Maybe you're struggling to find good friends in your life. And you're like, you know what? I need to find me some better friends. This will reveal to you how to find the boundaries. Maybe you're a little bit older and you're thinking about that next season of life. You're like, you know what? I'm about to go to college. I'm about to want to get married in a few years. And you're trying to figure out what kind of man or what kind of woman you need to marry. This will tell you who you should marry. It's not going to have a verse that says like, okay, you need to marry blah, 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 fill in the blank. But no, it's going to tell you qualities and characteristics of who you should look for. This will tell you how you should treat other people. So it's important that you guys spend time in it. So here's what I'm going to do. I don't have time to get to the rest of it. We'll do that some other time. But here's what I want to encourage you to do in this moment. I want to encourage you just to close your eyes. And I want you to ask God to reveal to you in this moment an area of your life that you need to have some better boundaries in.